Hello, it's Giles here from 101 Part-Time Jobs. If you like what we're doing and you'd like to support us, you can. For £1, £4 or £10 a month at our Patreon, patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs. You can help support our independent production. We are so happy with the way this is going. We appreciate all of you listening and watching our episodes. So thank you for being here. If you'd like to take it that one step further, you can. That's at patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs. Cheers.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
101.
So when I started stand-up, I started about 12, 13 years ago. And I had actually made a few sketches, but with a friend who had a camera and could edit, because then you didn't have any editing apps on your phone, or I certainly didn't. I'm like a cracked Samsung kind of person. Do you know what I mean? So it wouldn't have been my forte at all. So I had done a few videos, but I think when I was starting, I was coming into that time where there wasn't as much maybe opportunity for like a new unknown person to maybe get a pilot or get on a panel show or whatever. It felt like it had kind of closed down a little bit. And I was like, oh, I'll make my own stuff. But I think we set up like a Facebook page, and I was very reluctant because I didn't like social media. I just thought, oh God, it's a bit over the top or whatever. But what we would do, like, we would put out a sketch, maybe we'd film maybe 5 at a time and put out a sketch every couple of weeks, because you wouldn't want to put it out too close to the other one.
Right, yeah.
You know, so it wasn't this kind of,
you've got social media managers out there nodding along.
Prolific thing of like every day, or, you know, TikTok 6 times a day or whatever. Yeah. But it was, and then when I started doing
and you had no one telling you to do that.
No.
What was the impetus? Like, what was the long game?
Honestly, there was no long game. I think I just wanted to try and make stuff. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not...
Out of boredom?
Just out of like frustration of I want to do something creative. There was no long game, because this was like, there was no influencers. There was no... I hadn't seen people putting like I knew people were putting up stuff on YouTube, but like in terms of like short form clips and like buy my tickets and stuff, no. And I actually, when I put up stuff on social media, I never really mentioned that I was going to be doing a gig in that club on Friday or whatever. I never linked the two up.
That's interesting, because like it's your first stuff. It's not going to be amazing for the first few goes, for the first few years. I'm fascinated by that thing of like growing in public, and since online, that's the only way to do something. Well, is to put yourself out there and be like, that's
the thing that everyone has to accept, isn't it? Right? Because I had read like, you know, in magazines and you know, like celebrity memoirs and all that kind of stuff. Everyone in my mind seemed to be just getting discovered. Everyone was like falling into everything. So I was like, well, I suppose I'll just hang tight and somebody will discover me. And I was like, oh no, they're all lying. You have to put yourself out there.
And what do you do in the meantime?
Yes, what you do. So I think, I was doing open mic nights and doing a little bit of video, but no, honestly, there was no big plan. No, not at all.
Because even if you did have a big plan, nothing happens that way, does it? No. I often think like it's all reactive. It depends on like what's happening that year or just what's happened recently.
Oh, totally. And I did some like videos with people, and that was all great. But then I was like, I thought we all wanted to kind of get into comedy. And other people were like, oh no, like that was kind of fun to do that Saturday afternoon, but like we have lives. I was like, oh, so I started to film on my phone. But basically what I would do is I would didn't have a tripod or anything. I would prop my phone up on the mantelpiece, press record and just record, and then stop. No editing at all. And
so you'd have like the boomer What now we know is like the boomer signifier. It's like the Rod Stewart pressing the button.
No, I couldn't top and tail it, nothing. And I used to look at myself on the screen rather than look at myself in the camera.
Yeah.
But people thought I was doing it on purpose because they were comedy sketches. They're like, oh, it's so funny how you're looking at yourself. And I was like, oh God.
That's good. It's accidental funny.
Yeah. So when I see people doing that now who are starting off making videos and they don't know to look in the camera, if I know them well, I'll say it to them. So I got away with it, but I had no skills at all. No, like absolutely no skills.
Like, where were you at this life? Because you got pregnant when you were a teenager.
Yes.
Like, it's a big part of your story. Like from the book, Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
How, that happens, it's not an unheard of thing, but it's also kind of like dropping you in the deep end of life.
Yes, it's got to change. It's got to change things, isn't it? And change your priorities. When I started doing comedy then, I was 29. So my daughter was like 10. I was in a relationship now. I actually started stand-up when I was on maternity leave. So I think I'd basically had 10 years of doing bits of jobs. Yeah. Like I would kind of switch between like admin jobs or production jobs, or a lot of it was to do with if it was close or handy, or, if I do that job, I can collect her after school kind of thing. And then I think when I got to 29, I thought that 29 was a really big age. And I was like, God, I haven't really put myself out there creatively. I was like, maybe it wasn't even in terms of like to try and start a career. It was more just to try it. So you could look back and say, oh, well, I tried it. I did it. I know what that's like. I've experienced it. So I went and did my first gig on maternity leave. And then I just got hooked straight away, obsessed. And, it's a dark time because you're like, I'm going home to my fella. And like all of a sudden he's like, sorry, you're in a pub like 3-4 nights a week. You're not making any money from this. What is going on? Yeah. And you've just had a baby. So I had to explain to him, I was like, no, I really think this could be something. And he's like, okay.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotional kind of energy.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it a lot.
A lot of time, a lot of driving, a lot of turning up, like that thing of turning up places. And somebody says, yeah, okay, so look, here's the lowdown on this place. And you go, of course. Yeah. Whether it's like you have to hold the mic this way because of whatever.
Right. Everything's on the fly.
Yeah, we don't have a mic or whatever it is, or you're actually doing it in a barber's, or you're,
Were you the kind of person that you could deal with that? Like, I'm trying to think of like an analogy. It's like, when your flight's cancelled, do you freak out, or you're like, okay, what do we do now?
I think about what do we do now, but I think that's only from doing stand-up for as long as I have, and I've so many shite gigs. So now I'm always just like, okay, I'm very relaxed about the whole thing. I'm always like, okay, we'll deal with it.
It's a great way to live.
I think it's
like protecting
really,
yourself.
Yeah,
in a way,
I think it's a real like apprenticeship. I think now I do feel sorry for people, not sorry, but if they're putting up clips of like their first 10-minute set, or like, even though I was making things and putting them out there, I feel like I definitely had loads of time to do it privately.
Yeah. Yeah, you need that, like that grown in public thing, and there are no internships with this, like at least not paid ones.
Yes.
And things like there's you'd get like courses.
Yeah, but that's not, it's doing the hours, I think, and just doing it to get better, or you're working on a particular bit, or you're finding out, oh, this is what I can do if this happens, or, just that muscle and whatever. So I'm so glad I had, at the time, no. And was it too long? Probably. Like, come on.
Too long as in?
Well, I'm grateful that I got to do an apprenticeship, but like, it was long.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always had a job. I had a job on the side for a long time, right up until COVID. But maybe that was my own, I suppose it's scary then for it to be, this is the one focus. Because if you have the other job, you can always say, you can always have the excuse of like, well, look, I have a job.
Yeah. But then the trade-off probably at the end of the day is like time.
Yes.
Right? Time feels like the most valuable commodity. Time to just sit and think, or walk and think, and like, sounds a bit wanker, but just be like, what am I? What am I trying to fucking do here?
You do need a bit of time because you do need time, or you just need to live in the world and be able to observe people without constantly doing something. So you do need a little bit of boredom or a little bit of nothingness
to see things.
To see things. Because even I find now there's stuff that's probably in my stand-up that is not new stuff, in terms of like, say, myself, family dynamics, relationships. But I think maybe I've had a little bit of time to step back. So I feel now my stand-up is probably more about my real life and real things. And before, I think when I was starting out, I was writing jokes and gags.
We're almost living that double life.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing new people do. I don't know. Or like I wouldn't have been telling people on stage about my job. And then as soon as I quit my jobs, I'm on stage telling people about the jobs I did.
Right. Because when you start, there's an idea.
Yes.
It's like the top of the hill, the top of the mountain. And then slowly, you probably don't even realize it, but you get there.
Yes.
And I'm fascinated by that kind of like silent, invisible change.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of like wanting to be it and then being it.
Yeah, I think the best time I had before I went full time, this is my whole thing, was the last job I had. They all knew that I was a stand-up. I was a copywriter, and it was part of the reason I kind of got the job. Yeah. And that felt good because before I'd been in jobs, and it's like you feel like it's a bit of a dirty secret.
Yeah.
And
that's not healthy.
No, it's very uncomfortable. And it would be, your worst nightmare would be for somebody you work with to come to see you on a Wednesday night or whatever. It's like, you're not going into work telling people that you're doing this job. And it doesn't work, because even towards the end, I had gotten a job as like a kitchen porter. So basically I was trying to get a job. I was trying to buy a house and I could not get a job. And I think maybe it was at the point where people were Googling me and seeing what was going on. So I just got this.
That really is a double life, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just got this job, a local job as a kitchen porter. And one day I was asked to do a radio interview. And I was like, just a phoner. And I was like, I'll do that on my break. I was like, that's grand. And I did it, and I came back in, and the vibe in the room had completely changed. Like the people I worked with.
It was live. It was a live phone.
It was live.
Had they heard it on the radio?
I think they'd heard it on the radio, and it was absolutely fine. And everything, I didn't say anything crazy, or and obviously didn't tell them on the phone, or I'm washing pots and pans here. But when I came back in, a couple of the people were like very interested. And a couple of people never spoke about it again.
Interesting.
How
did that make you feel?
It was weird because, do you know what it was? It was like, before that, you see, I think for some of the people I worked with, we were all in it together. We were all in this job together. Mm-hmm. And then for a couple of people, I think they went, oh, this is only her backup plan.
Yeah.
This is only her.
You think you're better than this.
Yeah, which
is not true.
Not true at all, but I think
people react that way sometimes.
Yeah, I think they felt like I had betrayed them. She doesn't have a right to be complaining about this job. Yeah. So it was really...
That puts you in a difficult position.
And then you see if another person then is asking about, how long have you been doing it? And, oh, Jesus, what's it like? I couldn't imagine doing, all those usual questions. Yeah. It's really weird. So when I could have quit all the jobs and could be like, I'm a stand-up comedian, yeah, it was very like freeing. And even just like, I think little things like when your family are on board with it, and because I know like when you're starting out, for some people, for their family to see them do stand-up, or for them to even say to their family, I'm doing stand-up, is disgusting.
I played in bands until I was like 25,
okay.
And then it all kind of imploded, and I started my life again and started this show like late 30.
Yeah. My
family loved me, but I don't think they thought much of it.
Yes.
And it was funny, like now with this show, they do. And it's been kind of funny to see how that changed.
Yes.
But you do, like, that affects the way you see yourself. Like the way the people closest to you see you. You can't not help that impact the way you see yourself.
And for different people, they have these parameters that you know nothing about. Like people from your area, when they start to come to see you, or it's interesting. Like when
no one's famous in Ireland.
Yeah, or when people like, from school, that's very strange, like you see them in an audience and you're like, oh, Ciara, how are you?
Yeah.
How'd you get on with the confirmation in the end? Okay, chat to you later.
Do you know what the thing to avoid is? Are you, and it's one word, still, are you still at that job? It cuts through. And I've been guilty. I've done it. I've said it. I've also been said it too.
I mean, comedy is probably the least glamorous of all the glamorous things, isn't it?
Is it?
I
don't know loads about comedy. Well, I'm a fan, but I don't really know the inside baseball of it.
There's just not a lot of glamour with comedy because you're mostly on your own.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Most people, it's kind of casual. Like sometimes people might say to me, oh, I'd love to do your hair and makeup for a gig. And I'm like, I don't do that. Because I just would sweat, like there's no point. I would just sweat it off. It's not, but like they might think, oh, because you're on stage or something and you're out in front that you would be presenting a certain thing. And I'm like, no, you usually don't tend to. Yeah, you're on your
costs,
own.
Right? I mean, makeup costs.
But as well,
it's like a couple of £100 maybe sometimes.
Yeah, and if someone's going to do all that, you've got to be at the venue earlier.
Yeah.
Most comedians are kind of like weird people. Like it's people who are doing a gig upstairs in a pub while everyone else is downstairs watching a big match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone else is having this big kind of like, bonding experience being part of this like, community, and you're up there telling jokes and people are like, why is there no people in today? It's like, the match. Oh, is it you? I don't know.
But you've committed to this thing and you're like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And it puts you in weird situations like that.
I think maybe being Irish, most Irish people think they're funny, so maybe you kind of get away with it. And I would think most Irish people would think that they could probably do it. And I think
so a lot can make their family laugh and friends.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them probably could.
Yeah,
it's just the whole thing of it just takes a long time to build up your hours, I think. But I don't know, what is it like when you're starting out as a band to get people to come and see you?
It's such a social thing. You get all your friends down. That's what attracted me to it.
Yeah.
Is I was like, this is better than a house party.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a small town, northwest of London. And so every different weekend, whilst everyone at school was going to Oceana or Walkabout, we're going to fucking 2 towns over to a youth club, to a rugby club where beers are £3.
Yeah, you see, that's cool.
Yeah, it's wicked.
Comedy's not because you're meant to sit there in silence. And you don't talk. Do you know what I mean? So the appeal of it, because if you're saying to somebody, come and sit at the show for like an hour and a half or an hour, it's a big commitment. So people just go, I don't know.
Did you have that bit where like you realised that?
Oh yeah.
And you were like, oh, is this what I want?
Oh, I remember at the start when I did my first, I did a Dublin Fringe Festival, and I was like, okay, and now I had already been trying to build up a following, because I did start to twig, okay, the more people you can tell about stuff, the better. And I was trying to sell tickets, and I was like, oh God, oh my God. I was like, oh no, because it's a comedy show is then not the same as like a club.
Yeah.
Where there's 5 comics on and the whole thing keeps moving. To get people to come to your own show, very different.
How did tickets do?
Oh my God. I was probably refreshing it I'd say 25 times a day or something. But like that, I didn't want to see, I think I would have felt like having to invite family and friends would have been like a cop-out. Whereas I think maybe with music, because it's more of a social thing.
Yeah, people have fun. I mean, you have fun at a comedy show, but it's slightly different. You talk, like you say.
Well, it's kind of intrusive because you're kind of saying, you have to listen to me.
Yeah, shut up and listen.
It's not like we're all...
Yeah.
So like songs, we're all singing and chatting and whatever. It's all shh,
Is there that thing when you progress in your career and you get a booking agent or you sign up to a big agency and you are getting doing 30 dates a month or whatever it is? That's a pretty mad existence because you get in the train everywhere. You're staying in travel lodges or Premier Inns if you're lucky.
So when it's a club set, you can kind of rock up, but if you're on at 9 o'clock, you can turn up at 9:15 or whatever. How long do you want me to do? Grand, whatever.
You're bobbing off the opening act.
Nobody. But I thought at the start, when I started, I would go to the whole gig.
Yeah.
No, that does not happen.
Can't do that.
So at the start, I was like, how rude. Will they not wait and watch me? So, and if you're doing a couple of nights, you're not wait, like if it's somebody you know or somebody new and you're like, oh, I might, but then if you're doing a whole weekend of clubs, you might be just kind of like on with the same people. Is there like
mutual respect where it's like, look, no one can ever stay for everyone?
Oh no, most of the time you're just going to have a good one and chat to you bye. And if it's your mate, they might be like, or if there was something particular going on with that gig, whether it was a crap audience or whatever, they might message you going, how did that end up going or whatever, that kind of thing. But in the clubs, you're just basically saying, have a good gig, see you later, bye. And then when it's your own gig, obviously you're turning up earlier to do your sound check and everything. But sound check comedian is literally just like, that's fine for me. And you're like, then you just sit backstage for like the hour and a half before the show. So, but then when you're doing the clubs, I feel like your voice is always going to be diluted because you're catering for everyone. So the people in the audience are,
When you say doing the clubs, that means with other people on the bill?
Yeah, and you do like a 20-minute set or whatever. You're always going to be trying to cater for that audience. And
like a festival type
thing. And it's impossible then because you don't even know who all these people are. And some people might be just like visiting that place for a weekend or whatever it is. But then when it's your own audience, you've so much more freedom in terms of your material and everything.
You've been socials have like been a big part of the reason why people know you, right?
That's totally, and it's not my natural disposition at all. Like I would have, so when I was 20s, that's when like Bebo was starting. And when I was in college, they were like, they wanted people to set up a Bebo page or something like that. Or maybe it was MySpace because in terms of like putting on gigs or something, it was this kind of thing. And I was completely allergic to it. I was like, oh no. And I let my friend manage my Bebo account and then managed it for like years in college because I had no interest. I'm the person that goes. Friend. Yeah, I know, because she liked social media, and I'm the kind of person that I go on holidays and I come back with 3 photos and 2 of them are blurry. Like it's just not. I'm like, oh, I should have taken some photos. But then I was like, oh, there's something in that. But now I find it so interesting. Like say even, I eventually got on Facebook and then Instagram came in and I was very late to Instagram as well because I was like, I don't want to have to go to a new thing.
Yeah.
And then.
I know that feeling.
Because it was all the time differences with Facebook.
Okay.
Because the reels on Instagram, I think, started quite short.
All right.
So when I was making stuff, I had it in mind of like a Facebook video. So I would be resharing them on Instagram, but like they'd cut off short because I'd be like, I'm not doing separate stuff for Instagram. Then when TikTok came out, I was just like, oh my God, another app. I was like, please no. And people, because everyone called TikTok like the dancing app or whatever. I was like, but the way I have found it with the apps, and actually when my daughter was a teenager and she was talking about downloading Instagram, that's actually when I got Instagram. Okay. Because I was a bit like, ooh, when your child's going to go on social media. Now she was, I think, 14 at the time. This is like, she's 22 now. But I was like, oh God, that's all a bit scary. And then we're like, well, no.
See what she's, check it out.
So then we're like, no, we'll have to download Instagram and see what it's like. And that was actually a really good thing then, because that's all you can do with these apps, whatever it is. You have to, I think, get the apps and use the apps first to see how they work and then see if it could be any use to you. I mean, I don't do anything different on TikTok than what I do on Instagram. If I was very serious about it, I would. I would post 4 or 6 times a day and I would do TikTok style videos.
You can always do more, it seems like.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that can be a bit of a mind fuck, right? Where
yeah,
I want to do, this is my job, this is what I love, this is what I want to do. But you can always do, that's quite a hard thing to reconcile.
Yeah, I've been doing like social media, I suppose, for as long as I've been doing stand-up. So I'm probably, I wouldn't say detached from it, but I see it for what it is, and it's not, well, I mean, if you're having a bad day, obviously you are like, this is completely connected to my own self-worth. But most of the time I try to be normal about it. And it is a great, like, I mean, there's nothing that fills my little heart more joy that when I put up a video and somebody tags their friend and says, Claire, we have to go see her, or whatever it is.
You're making someone else happy.
Yeah, or they're tagging if they're tagging someone and it's like an inside joke and they're like, oh, Crete 2014 or something, and you're like, I wonder what happened in Crete in 2014. So like there is a lot of fun to it, but I probably learned, I'd say over the years of like, I probably like share a lot, but at the same time I don't really share a lot.
Have you found that balance? I mean,
you don't know, like when you first start social media, like all of us, anyone I know that still has Facebook, there's the odd few that maybe are on it. I don't know what they're doing there or whatever, but most people still have it because it's for all the birthdays. But it's for like, it started out as like personal information. And I would have shared like my family on there because like loads of my friends were on there. Yeah. And then you suddenly realize one day, oh, there's other people here as well. Maybe I won't share that stuff or whatever. So, but I think anyone who's on social media, I think a lot of people learned at the same time, People are kind
of withdrawing from it a little bit now.
Yeah. Well, my daughter isn't on it at all.
Yeah.
So I had this big worry about her going on Instagram, like, oh God, she's no interest. So she has all those apps on sleep mode the whole time.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah, I know.
Is that probably got something to do with COVID as well, being like a 18-year-old in COVID, is she?
Yeah, I think it has something and I think she just saw how it was so distracting for her time.
Yeah. It fucking is. It's a time suck, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I have the things that I go and it goes into sleep mode because you've now spent an hour on social media. And I mean, I still have it on, but every day I just go ignore. Ignore.
Yeah, snooze.
But I do try and use it at certain times rather get sucked in, because I do try to get back to people. And you see, but those apps are so clever at keeping you on them.
That's their whole job. Their whole job is vying for your time.
Yeah. So I try and choose certain times, but no, I mean, it's really helped me reach people. Yeah. And I've never had someone come up to me after a gig and say, I followed you on social media and I came to this gig and this was not what I signed up for or whatever, You kind
of got to be a little bit responsible like that, right? I put out what to expect.
Yeah, so I think they I think they know what to expect or whatever. So
it's a bit of a deep one, but I think British people, my partner's German, and when she first moved over, like she was asking my friends how much they paid rent. And I was like, Eva, what are you doing? I was like, actually, I kind of grew to really appreciate the honesty because, it's kind of helpful, or rather not being open about money can be unhelpful.
Yes.
What's your relationship with money like? Especially starting a young family, having to be responsible.
Do you know, I think I was always a saver. So even when I had little jobs as like a teenager, I'd always go and put money in the post office. My eldest brother is like we'd always slack him as being real tight. You know what I mean? But I think I'm I'm definitely a saver. And that's probably why it took me so long to leave my job and then just like, go out on my own, be like sole trader or whatever. But in terms of like the things that I do, like choose to do, I don't think I'm really motivated by the money. I'd be more like, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
I don't really think I tend to ask too much, or it's not that high up on my list of questions. How much? If it's a corporate, how much?
Yeah.
Do you know? But
do you do it?
I try to do most of the things I'm doing because I want to do them.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. And that's ultimately better for the career.
Yeah, right. I think so. Yeah. I
think we all think of like this mental image of a number and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to work to that. But when you're doing something like you're doing, where you can ask different fees, that kind of story
it's different. Yeah, because sometimes I'm a little bit disengaged from the money, because if you do big gig or you get paid for like a chunk of gigs, in my head, I'm always like, well, half of that money isn't mine.
Yeah. It's going to agent fees, tax, all the rest of it.
Everything. So I'm kind of like, I'm kind of disengaged from it until the end.
And you kind of see what's there.
Yeah, my accountant will kind of say, do you want to have a look at that? And I'm like, no. because it's nothing got to do with me. That's the way I feel about it.
Right, yeah.
So it's just like, whatever. But I see this, the thing that's actually fucked up about me is I love money, but I'm not a big spender.
Yeah.
But I think having money makes me feel very secure.
Of course.
So I like to have...
It's like freedom.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll have like a pot of money. Or like say when me and my fella bought a house. So I'm living, I'm in Dublin. Obviously, if you're living in a city, houses are going to be expensive. And there's a housing crisis. And that has been going on for years. So when I'm 18, I'm a parent. I'm like, one of my major goals was to buy a house. So for that security and just for that mental thing of I own a house. I saved for that house from the age of 18 to like whenever I got it in my 30s. And I just had like this money that I had been popping into all the time because I knew, the way, like you say, if you go to a bank and you're trying to get a mortgage or whatever, the first thing they look at is not, nobody cares. I don't know how it is here, but nobody cares how much you can pay in your rent. They want to know what your job is and what's your earning capacity. Yep. Or the 2 years combined. And I knew that I wasn't ever going to have a job where I was never going to have like a high status career kind of thing.
A big salary.
So
you've got to have a big.
I wasn't going to be
deposit.
working. Exactly. It's like I'm not going to be. I will do jobs if I have to do jobs, but I'm not going to be in some like finance career or whatever. I was like, it's not going to happen. So I saved all this.
This is the Martin Lewis shit. Yeah. But but it's good on you, yeah. And if you know what you're going to want to be a comedian, you know you've got to find out another way to do it.
Yeah.
To get a mortgage.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, or I think as well, even if you're going to work for yourself, you have to kind of. I don't know. Well, I'm sure lots of people work for themselves. It's for money, but I think there's got to be something else going on, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Because I think if I was motivated by money, I wouldn't have done comedy.
Right. Yeah.
So
I also think being motivated by money just makes you an asshole.
Yeah, it looks that way. That's what all the signs are pointing towards. That's
my excuse anyway. That's my excuse for not getting rich.
Yeah, we're free spirited, whatever. Don't get me wrong, love a bit of money, but
I think it's good to be sensible.
Yeah, I try to be sensible.
I mean, it sounds a bit on the nose and earnest, but it's true. It's more about the people that are around you, your family, your friends, your relationships. That is more important.
Big style.
Than being rich.
And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to do a big, massive gig if they're like, oh, it's 50 quid. I'd be like, no. I don't think so. Even if it's the best fun in the world or whatever. Long, windy answer. I'm a squirrel. That's what I am. Appreciate the chat. You've got your tour coming up. Are you playing loads of shows throughout this year, all over? To get loads of money. Do you have it? Is it this more or less a similar set every night? Can you change it? Like, what's the kind of vibe? How loose are the? Often think of it's like when you get an IKEA wardrobe to get it on flush. You've got to do the screws just a little bit each time. You can't go all the way. I know. So the first 20, that's my defo like fluid part of the show. So I love that because that keeps me like my brain going and kind of mad. And then the show itself, it does change a little bit, and it's usually not a planned thing. It's like if I'm having fun, I'll throw something else in, or I'll come off and I'm after, without realizing I did it, something went in and something came out. Yeah. So I would meet people that might have been to the show before, which is lovely. So they might go. You'll have repeat people coming, right? Yeah. So you might have people that like go with a group of friends, and then they want to bring like their husband or their sister. They're like, I want to show you this. And then I've met people and they're like, oh, I saw you in Cork or whatever. And you're like, my first reaction is fear. I'm like, okay, it's the same show. And they're like, no, it was actually a bit different. Good. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And the venue's always going to change it, innit? And the lights are going to be different. And then the people, the lights, because their interpretation of Go Mad with the Lights is always going to be different. But I suppose they're experiencing it then with somebody else as well. So, but no, I try and keep it like that. It's the same show, and they're getting the show, but it changes all the time, if I'm being honest. And before you go, big fan of the work fuck-ups, like 101 part-time jobs, people working bitty jobs. Oh, yeah. You're going to have some days that you're I hope that never happens again, or I'm glad this day is over. Oh my God. Well, I've had so many jobs. I've had a lot of jobs. I think maybe one of them was I was always very good at like contacting people and do you have a job? Putting myself out there. That's good. And I got a job once in a place called Setanta Sports. Yeah. No, I think I'm just getting confused with Santander and
Sports Direct.
Setanta Sports is like, it was a sports TV station.
Okay.
Why am I there now? So I rock up there and I think, one day I'm in marketing or something. I think I'm in listings.
Yeah.
You know,
so you're doing the listings for the channel, for the sports channel.
Yes,
the listings are different every day because every day's a new.
Yes, and then they'll have certain matches that they want to promote or whatever. And they had a thing where you text people. You know, you'd set up a text thing or an email thing of like this big match, and you know to pay to. Yeah, you know,
like when DAZN came in, it was like you pay the premium to see Anthony Joshua boxing, whatever.
All that kind of stuff. But one day my manager said to me, he was like, can you get me a picture of the gooch? So I thought the gooch was like vagina or whatever. I was like, what the hell is going on in this place? I didn't realise, this is how little knowledge I had. The gooch was like a big Irish sports star. Okay, like so
their nickname.
Yeah, but everyone would know the gooch. But I thought it was say like your gooch, and I was like, oh my god! So I was like freaked out for that. Yeah. I was freaked out for the whole day. I was like, whatever, awful stuff. Could never look at the man the same way again. It was terrible. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was all in with like the marketing people. I knew nothing about sport at all.
That's funny.
Let me think. Well, I mean, yeah, I've done like the waitresses' jobs now. Actually, I'll tell you this from when I was a kitchen porter. Yeah. So when I'm a kitchen porter, this is quite bad. I know, but at the time, I'm just going back to how I felt at the time. Yeah. So I'm a kitchen porter. I had done waitressing and, you know, worked in pubs and that kind of thing before. But for some reason, I think it's just because they had their staff already. I was always in the back. I never got really to go out in front. So I started to get this complex, like, am I some sort of ogre or something that they have to keep in the back? Anyway, every so often, if it was busy, you could go out into the floor and collect the plates rather than having them brought to you. And I went out and there was these, like, I think it was like 3 or 4 people that were at a table and they had like pancakes and all this kind of stuff. And one of the guys said to me, oh my God, he's like, you do videos with Jen Hatton. So this lovely, really funny girl in Dublin who I had been doing videos with at the time. And I was like,
skits.
Yeah. Doing sketches and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I look like a boiled egg. I've been there washing pots all day. I was like, yeah, that's me. He's like, can I get a selfie? And I was like, I really didn't want a selfie because honestly, like I'm covered in grease.
Yeah. Or you just don't feel it. You know, when you don't feel it, everyone knows that feeling. You don't feel yourself. You don't want a photo of you.
Yeah, and I'm like kind of with a tea towel over my shoulder. I'm kind of like, you know, and I was like, okay, but I didn't want to be rude. So I'm like, okay. And then as he's taking the picture with me, he says to me, could we get more ketchup as well? I just felt like...
Heart drop.
Yeah, it was like, it was so many mixed emotions because I was like, it's a nice thing people wanting a selfie with you. That's something new. You know, it was kind of my first 6 times experiencing something like that. But it's like, I'm look like a scrubber and then, okay, like just, you know, a smile, maybe they'll put a filter on it, hopefully. And then like more ketchup for the table. And they didn't even leave a tip. And I was like, oh my God.
It's that self-worth thing, isn't it?
Yeah. But so, like, this interaction was like 20 seconds long and so many emotions going on at one point.
Think about it forever.
Yeah, but it really actually made me go, I need to figure out what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Thank you, Emma. Good
Thanks
stories.
So much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
So that was Emma Doran here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. If you liked that episode, you might want to go back and listen to our one with Stuart Lee. We had Kingfisher on a couple of months ago at the end of 2025. Kneecap, loads of great artists and comedians coming to 101 Part-Time Jobs. If you want to get more episodes as they come, click subscribe. Cheers for being here. Hello, it's Giles here from 101 Part-Time Jobs. If you like what we're doing and you'd like to support us, you can. For £1, £4 or £10 a month at our Patreon, patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs. You can help support our independent production. We are so happy with the way this is going. We appreciate all of you listening and watching our episodes. So thank you for being here. If you'd like to take it that one step further, you can. That's at patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs. Cheers.